Welcome back to another episode of the Feature Presentation Podcast, where every week we take a deep dive into the trenches of independent filmmaking. I am your host, Derek Diamond. Normally, these shows air on Monday nights, and I release the audio version on Tuesday mornings, but this week, because of the opportunity that I've got here today, you've got a nice little bonus episode, especially for those of you who are Cobra Kai fans like myself. You may know him as Bert from the Cobra Kai series, Mr. Owen Morgan. Owen, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time. And we're a couple of weeks after the release of season 5 of Cobra Kai. So how has the reception been from the fans? Because it just seems like, the show started as a YouTube Red project back in like 2017, 2018, and now it's blown up to be this huge Netflix property, and it's just the hype for it gets bigger and bigger every season. So how has the reception been for season 5?
Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing, really. I'm very happy that everyone has loved it so much. I've seen so much positive reception. I'm very proud of what we were able to accomplish, and I was really hoping everyone would like it. So I was very, very happy to see that we still have so many fans out there that love watching this show.
Well, it's hats off to the creators, to the stunt coordinators, to you and your fellow actors for just making such a. I think it's really set the standard for what people call the legacy sequel, where you take established characters and then bring them into a more contemporary and modern setting while introducing a new generation of characters. There's been other movies that have been like that as well, but I don't think anyone's been able to quite capture it like you guys have with Cobra Kai. And why do you think that's the case?
I don't know, really. It's hard to tell sometimes, because all I know is that the people we have working on this we're all so passionate. And everyone loves this so much, and so many people on the writers team, or basically anyone in charge of working on the story, just has so much respect for the original series and everything that was done. And I think I think what happens with a lot of the time is they'll try to almost change some things, or like kind of soft reboot, but that doesn't really happen with this. Everything is handled so carefully to make sure that everything is still accurate while still being continued in an entertaining way.
Absolutely. So you have an interesting story when it comes to working on this show, because correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first project that you've worked on as an actor.
It is.
So I got to know, how did you go from aspiring actor to working on arguably the biggest show on network and streaming television right now?
Yeah. So honestly, when I started, I wasn't even aspiring to be an actor. I signed up to be an extra on the show, just because I thought it'd be a fun little thing to do. Because I had been doing karate for maybe 7 years at that time. I had spent most of my youth doing karate. And so when me and my family heard that there was going to be this, show about karate, we decided, we'll sign up to be extras on it. Maybe spend a day or two on set, see what it's like. But then they just wanted me. And after a few weeks of doing set, they decided that they wanted to offer me the option to audition to be a cast member. And after that, I mean, that was when I realized, that season when I was doing lines and I was getting to be an actor, I realized that this was something I wanted to do for a very, very long time.
It's a heck of a way to get your feet wet working on a show like this.
Yeah, it is.
And it's been really cool with your character specifically, the evolution from season 1 all the way up to season 5. As you mentioned, you were really kind of, you were part of the dojo and everything, but you were really kind of a background character in the beginning, and then you start to kind of see your character become more involved. Like, how have you enjoyed the progression of your character specifically in this show?
I have loved it so much. It feels very natural, I'd say. Just because it's very slow. It's not as noticeable at first. But pretty much with every season, he tends to, my character Bert tends to grow just a tiny bit more. So he'll tend to get he'll you notice he slowly starts to either he will last longer in a fight or he'll start to win some fights a little bit. And he also tends to get a little more confident as that goes along. So he starts to talk more, starts to interact with everyone more. Um, I just, and I've been very, very happy seeing how he just gets to do more and more as he grows as a character.
When you hit the nail on the head with a lot of the characters in addition to your own, the
Mm-hmm.
growth feels very natural. It's almost like you're watching real people grow up, like you're watching
Yeah,
these high school
yeah.
kids mature and gain confidence and become more mature. It's again, it's hats off to, those who are responsible for creating the show to really make everything seem organic and real.
Hmm. Yeah, everyone is just, yeah, they're very good writers. We have a fantastic team of writers, and yeah, I mean, there's only so much I can say about that because it's just they're so good at just writing a compelling story with flawed characters that can grow over time.
How has it been for you, as someone who's been involved since the beginning of the show, to work with an actor like a Ralph Macchio or a William Zabka, those who have been in the industry for decades? Have they given you any great advice, or how has it been, as an aspiring actor yourself, how has it been working with people of that caliber?
It really is an honor to be able to work with these experienced actors that are all just so great at their jobs. And what's even better, they all manage to like stay completely humble doing so. They're all so nice and they're so welcoming. And it's not, I don't often get like direct advice from any of them, but I'm able to slowly over time pick up different ways in which they work, right? And I think it's because of them that I've been able to grow so much over these past few years as an actor.
You've been a part of some pretty cool scenes, throughout the run of the
Mm-hmm.
show. Like the one I specifically think of is the Clarence the Rat scene with
Yes.
Sensei Kreese. So, uh, as your role has grown in the show, what do you find yourself getting recognized for the most, as far as like any specific moments?
I'm not sure. It tends to change every time a new season comes out, honestly. So for the first two seasons, I'd say my biggest one was my season one scene back in the last episode of season one, where I'm at the little mini mart store and I'm buying some magazines. That was the big one for a while. And then I'd say after season three, yeah, it was the me and Crease scene with Clarence the hamster. And I think just every time I'm in, I don't know if there's a specific one anymore that I get recognized for. It's just kind of the because I'm Bert does so many more things now. He has so many more little moments to shine. So I yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching that scene specifically for the first time, and I just felt, because I'm a huge animal lover, and I
Mm,
just it pained me for you to be in that spot, because I just like in no way could I do that. But I mean, it just showed how heartless Kreese was, and you can
mhm.
really kind of see the cracks start to form with yourself and other members of the dojo that were like, maybe this guy's a little crazy.
Right, yeah. Just a little unhinged. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was very, very proud of that scene. It's one of my proudest moments on the show.
absolutely. And mentioning Cobra Kai, I don't think we could not mention your chemistry with Stingray, Paul
Mm,
Hauser, who's a great actor, very funny,
amazing.
one of the highlights of the show. How has it been working with him?
He's awesome. He's so he a lot of the time when you're watching the show, I don't even realize it sometimes, but he's a great improver. So he's really good at just throwing in little lines that are so in character for him. And it just he's so funny. He will have everyone on set just rolling on the floor laughing. It's so good because he's so good at coming up with these things on the fly. He's just I always love the few occasions where I get to work with him.
And it plays a pivotal role, and not to give away too many spoilers for season 5, but there is where your character comes into play because of your friendship with Stingray, where the kids have to go meet with him for, you know, a pretty pivotal moment that happened in the previous season. But I think you're right. He's part of some of the funniest moments of the show, like in one from season 5, after he picks up Daniel, and he's driving, you know, the Cobra Kai car, and he puts the shades on, and he's like, Stingray see better in the dark. Like, just little one-liners that he's got. And that's another thing that I think is underrated too. Like, you know, the fights are great. You know, the stunt team just does an incredible job of putting these fights together, but the humor is great as well. Like, it
absolutely,
it really embraces that still kind of that 80s feel of the Karate Kid, but in a contemporary setting.
Right. Yeah. It still has that, not necessarily like, I don't know if campy is the right word, but it definitely has this like old style kind of humor to it. And I mean, obviously, you know, props to the writers for being able to come up with such great jokes, but it's also, you know, they land so well because of the actors that play them. So many of them are just great at saying the most stupid stuff, but like with the most straight face. I think that's a big part of what makes the show so appealing to people.
Absolutely. And something I'm curious about with you being a younger actor, how did you balance like your schoolwork along with being on set? Because I've been through school. I know how taxing and how like exhausting it can be. So how did you balance that with working on a show of this caliber?
So season 1, I was in my last year of middle school, and I was missing a lot of days because I had to go to set. Fortunately, there are, you know, laws in place that make it so that minors still have to do a certain amount of schoolwork, and they have their own on-set tutor that helps them out. So my grades were going up because I had someone to directly help me out and help me out with my homework and stuff. But my school did not care for the number of days I was missing. So the next year, I decided that I wanted to switch completely to online school, where I've just been I did that for the next 4 years until I graduated, so that I could just do work a lot more easily on set.
So the online aspect was easier for you, because I know some people struggle with not having like face-to-face interaction.
Well, so that is the same for me, but so when I'm on set, it's helpful, but obviously I still have a lot of time in the years where I'm not filming anything, right? So I still have to do work at home. So that part was really hard. Fortunately, that part's pretty much behind me now because I graduated high school. But that definitely was a very tricky aspect, but I think it was completely worth it in the end because I got to, you know, do the next 4 seasons of it.
Oh, for sure. And I'm sure that through your years of working on Cobra Kai, have you picked up anything else besides acting that you might want to do in the business, like maybe writing or directing?
I'm still working on that, honestly. I know if for some reason I decided I didn't want to be an actor anymore, I would want to do something in the film industry. I don't know what yet, but something, because I love. I've seen so many different jobs over the years because there's so much that goes into making a film or a TV show work, and it's really fascinating to me. So something in there, I don't know what yet.
You hit the nail on the head too, and I talk about that with a lot of guests I have on my show, is that once you get your foot in the door and you work on your first set or you write your first script, it really is almost like a drug or an addiction that you nothing else can satisfy it besides, like in your case, acting. Or, you know, for some it might be writing, it might be directing, or being a director of photography. So what you said, you're still working on what specifically you want to do, but do you have any, say, like dream projects that you would love to do once, you know, eventually Cobra Kai does end?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, it does suck that someday Cobra Kai will end, right? And I'm gonna have to do something else. I mean, obviously, the dream would be to be able to work on like some, huge blockbuster superhero movie stuff, right? But at this point, I'm just kind of going one step at a time.
Yeah, that would be great too. So, you're a fan of, say, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Yeah, I am.
What are some of your favorite movies from that universe?
I don't know exactly which ones. I really like all the Avengers movies, but there's a lot of good ones. I don't know.
And there's so many, and a lot of them are just
There's
such
so
high
many.
quality that it can just be, it can be tough to narrow that down.
Yeah.
What other properties are you a fan of? Like, do you like Star Wars? Do you like Lord of the Rings?
Star Wars would be great. Star Wars would be great. I mean, I pretty much anything in that field. I love the idea of getting to that kind of big sci-fi action stuff. It sounds so much fun.
And the great thing too with like Netflix, with Paramount Plus, with other streaming platforms, there's so much content that's out there. Like we've got the Andor show that just started. We've got other Marvel shows, other Star Wars shows. So it's going to be around for a long time. None of it's going anywhere anytime soon. So I think you're going to have plenty of opportunity to be a part of it.
I think so too.
So as we start to wrap up here, I always like to ask all my guests this: what's your favorite movie of all time?
Movie of all time. I know that they're two very different ones, but sometimes I have trouble figuring out whether or not it's because my favorite animated movie is The Lion King. My favorite live action movie is probably Kill Bill. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
No, those are good choices. No, I can. Yeah, Lion King is one of those that it resonated with so many people, and honestly inspired people to work in animation or work in film.
Yeah.
So no, those are both great choices. I did want to ask, because Cobra Kai is based off of the Karate Kid franchise that started in the 80s. Were you aware of the Karate Kid before you became a part of Cobra Kai?
I knew of it. If I had ever seen the movie before, it had been a very long time since, and I didn't really remember much. But I knew some of the big, lines and scenes, all that stuff that made it, as iconic as it is. But after I started on the show, I went back and I watched all the movies, and I loved all of them. They're fantastic.
And the show puts a whole new context behind the movies as well.
It really does.
And that's, I think, what's so special about it is that it not just, pays tribute to what came before, but it almost makes it mean more, and it puts a whole different twist on it and gives new perspective on it. So
yeah, you can really appreciate the original movies a lot more when you know what's going to happen later. I don't know.
No, you're absolutely right. And finally, do you have a website, social media you'd like to plug so the viewers and listeners can follow you?
Yeah, you can. Pretty much the main place you'd want to find me is on my Instagram, which would be at Owen Morgan, but the OW3N, I believe. And then I have an Owen Morgan Facebook group. I don't remember what. I think you could just search up Owen Morgan. You'd be able to find my Facebook page.
Fantastic. Owen, thank you so much for taking the time to have this chat. Congratulations on all the success with Cobra Kai, and can't wait to see what happens next.
All right. Thank you so much. I'd love to come back on sometime.
No, absolutely. Hey, when season 6, we'll have you back on, and we'll do a full breakdown of it.
All right. Yeah.
Awesome. So if you want to subscribe to the show, you can head over to linktree.com/featureprezpod. That takes you to all the podcast subscription information. And don't forget, we are live on YouTube Monday nights at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's going to do it for this special bonus episode, and we'll see you guys back here Monday for another awesome episode of Feature Presentation with Derek Diamond.